Welcome to another episode of the Bark Brigade podcast by Doggozila Magazine.
Glad to be here. I'm really excited to get into this one.
Me too, because what if I told you that just 10 minutes of your dog simply sniffing around a balled up towel in your living room could exhaust them more profoundly than, a 30-minute sprint through your neighborhood.
It sounds kind of unbelievable, right? But it's true.
Right. And if you're listening to this right now, there's a very good chance that you are, intimately familiar with a really specific brand of helplessness.
Oh, yeah. Every dog owner knows that feeling.
Yeah. You are staring at your dog and they're trembling under the coffee table because someone dropped a book in the apartment upstairs. Or you've just walked through your front door to discover that the armrest of your sofa has been systematically dismantled.
Completely shredded.
Exactly. Just because you dared to, leave the house to buy groceries. And dealing with an anxious pup it's completely exhausting. It's heartbreaking.
It really takes a toll on you.
It does, but today we are going on a mission in this deep dive. We are taking the core principles from the article Mind Games for Calm Canines and exploring how incredibly simple, playful brain games for anxious dogs tap directly into their hidden evolutionary biology.
Which is just a fascinating area of research.
Right. We are going to break down how to literally melt that stress away, turning all of that destructive nervous energy into calm, confident rest.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if you picture an anxious dog, the goal isn't just to stop them from chewing the furniture.
No, not at all.
The real magic, the ultimate goal, is a dog sprawled out on the floor, eyes soft, breathing slow, and at total peace with the world.
Yes. And getting to that image requires us to completely redefine what anxiety physically is inside your dog's body.
Because it's not just them being bad, right?
Exactly. An anxious dog isn't just, acting out or being naughty. Their brain is literally trapped in a biological loop of fear. It is a neurological cycle.
A cycle that they can't just snap out of on their own. Right. The amygdala, which is basically the brain's alarm system, is constantly scanning the environment for threats.
So it's always on high alert.
Always. It's releasing stress chemicals, like cortisol and adrenaline, constantly preparing the cardiovascular system and the muscles for a worst-case scenario.
Which has to be exhausting.
Oh, it is exhausting just existing in that state.
Mm.
So brain games for anxious dogs are fundamentally designed to actively break that loop.
How do they do that exactly?
Well, they introduce a problem-solving task that forces the canine brain to physically reallocate its resources. You are making them replace a state of panic with a state of intense focus.
Okay, that makes biological sense on a surface level, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure, go for it.
Think about what happens to us as humans. If I am spiraling over a major work presentation, my heart is racing, my thoughts are going a mile a minute, what do?
You probably reach for your phone.
Exactly. I pick up my phone and I start doom scrolling. I desperately look for an engaging task to snap my brain out of the spiral. But doom scrolling doesn't actually stop the panic loop.
No, it's just a distraction?
Yeah, it just temporarily masks it. The second I put the phone down, the anxiety is right there waiting for me. So can a simple game like hiding a piece of kibble under a cup really break a full-blown panic loop for a dog? Or are we just, canine doom scrolling?
That's a great analogy, but it's crucial to differentiate between passive consumption and active problem solving.
Okay, how so?
When you are doom scrolling, you are passively consuming stimuli. That does not require significant cognitive load.
Cognitive load being brain power.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Cognitive load is the amount of working memory resources being used by the brain at any given moment. Think of it like RAM in a computer.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so a dog's brain, much like a computer, only has a finite amount of processing power. Doom scrolling uses very little RAM. But when you present a dog with a tactile brain game, say, figuring out how to unroll a towel to find a specific scent, they have to use a lot of different systems at once.
Like what?
They have to use their olfactory senses, their motor skills, their spatial awareness, and their problem-solving faculties simultaneously. That demands massive cognitive load.
So it's literally a hardware limitation. They cannot process the fear of a loud noise because all of their mental RAM is occupied by the mechanics of the puzzle.
Exactly. You cannot hyperfixate on the existential dread of a thunderstorm and simultaneously solve a complex multisensory puzzle.
You literally don't have the bandwidth.
Right. The cognitive load required to solve the puzzle physically redirects the brain's electrical and chemical energy away from the amygdala.
And sends it where?
It routes it into the prefrontal cortex,
Hmm.
the area responsible for complex problem solving. You are hijacking their processing power.
Wow. Okay, but if solving the puzzle stops the panic in the moment by using up that RAM, what happens when the puzzle is empty? Does the anxiety just come rushing back?
Well, that naturally ties into the real reason your pup acts out in the first place.
Which is because we have a terrible habit of personifying our dogs, right? We walk in, we see the shredded pillows, and we think, oh, he's mad at me for leaving.
Yes, and that personification is one of the biggest hurdles owners face. The dog isn't holding a grudge.
They aren't trying to punish us.
Not at all. Shredding pillows or barking nonstop at the window is a fight or flight response. Their brain is whispering, something scary is coming.
And that builds up energy.
Immense amount of bottled up energy. Anxiety isn't just an emotion for them, it is a physical substance. It is adrenaline demanding physical action.
So they have to do something with it?
Exactly.
Hmm.
If we don't provide a productive outlet for that chemical cocktail, the dog will find an unproductive one. Shredding a pillow is a way to physically expel that nervous energy.
So how do brain games for anxious dogs redirect that nervous energy long term? I mean, if the puzzle ends, the RAM frees up, right? Why doesn't the amygdala just take over again?
Because of what happens at the moment of success.
Oh, when they actually solve it.
Yes. When the dog successfully navigates the puzzle and extracts the treat, their brain receives a massive surge of dopamine.
The reward chemical.
Exactly.
Mm.
Dopamine isn't just the feel-good chemical, though. It is the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, reward, and learning.
So it teaches them something.
Precisely. By giving them these games, you aren't just distracting them. You are actively rewarding their nervous system for operating in a calm, focused state.
You are literally building new habits in the brain.
You are creating new neural pathways. Every time they solve a puzzle, instead of panicking, that calm and focused pathway gets a little wider and the panic pathway gets a little weaker.
That is fascinating. Which brings us directly to the science of a tired brain, not just a tired body. Because, we've all heard the golden rule of dog ownership, right? A tired dog is a good dog.
Oh, absolutely. It's repeated everywhere.
Right. And this assumption has always been that if your dog is destroying the house, you need to run them to the ground. Throw the ball for an hour, go for a 5-mile run.
Just exhaust them physically.
Yeah. But if a 10-minute sniffing game exhausts them more than a 30-minute sprint? So what does this all mean? Are we saying physical exercise doesn't matter? Because that completely upends traditional dog training advice.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, cardiovascular exercise is still absolutely vital for a dog's physical health, joint mobility, and weight management.
Okay, so we aren't saying don't walk your dog.
No. But physical exercise does absolutely nothing to quiet a racing mind.
Really nothing.
In fact, if you take a highly anxious dog on a long, stimulating run through a busy, chaotic neighborhood, you are continuously exposing them to triggers.
Like cars, other dogs, loud noises.
Exactly. You might actually be pumping them full of more adrenaline. They come back to your house physically exhausted, their muscles are tired, but their nervous system is completely wired.
Oh, wow. So they are basically an elite athlete with a panic disorder.
Precisely.
They just have more stamina to be anxious.
That's exactly it. They do have a larger lung capacity for their panic. Mental fatigue, on the other hand, operates on a completely different axis.
How so?
Mental fatigue drains the actual chemical fuel that anxiety runs on.
Okay.
When a dog is mentally drained from processing complex smells and solving problems, their brain demands deep restorative sleep to recover those cognitive resources.
So they actually sleep better.
Yes. They learn that being calm brings pleasure and rest, rather than viewing the quiet house as a terrifying vacuum where they just sit and wait for the next scare.
Okay, I want to dig into what the latest research tells us about soothing anxiety because, this shift from physical exhaustion to mental enrichment isn't just some trendy social media aesthetic.
No, it's heavily backed by science.
Right. It's grounded in hard science. We are seeing veterinary behaviorists who are basically the absolute pinnacle of animal psychology experts prescribing these exact brain games.
Often in tandem with, or even before, traditional medication.
Yeah, or obedience training. What exactly are they seeing in the lab that proves this works?
Well, researchers at leading animal cognition labs have moved beyond just observing behavior. They are measuring internal chemistry.
Like taking blood work.
Exactly. They are taking saliva and blood samples before, during, and after problem-solving tasks. And they are finding significant, measurable drops in cortisol,
And cortisol is the bad one, right? The stress hormone.
Cortisol is the primary stress hormone. Unlike adrenaline, which is a quick burst, cortisol lingers in the bloodstream.
Which causes long-term problems.
Major problems. Chronic high cortisol suppresses the immune system, it destroys gut health, and it keeps the dog in a permanent state of hypervigilance.
So they can never really relax.
Right. But the fact that playing a simple game physically lowers the concentration of cortisol in a dog's blood proves that we are actively altering their internal chemistry.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's one thing to see cortisol drop in a sterile, quiet laboratory, but there was this groundbreaking project involving shelter dogs, right?
Yes, and that study is incredibly important.
Because if you have ever set foot in a county animal shelter, you know it is a sensory nightmare.
It's overwhelming for humans, let alone dogs.
Exactly. It's deafeningly loud. It smells like bleach and hundreds of terrified animals. It is the ultimate high-stress environment. And yet, researchers introduced daily puzzle games to these dogs right in their kennels.
And the results of that shelter project are just astounding. By implementing daily brain games, the researchers observed a drastic reduction in subtle, often missed stress signals.
Like what kind of signals?
We're talking about behaviors like excessive lip licking, yawning when they aren't tired, and whale eye.
Whale eye. That's where you can see the whites of their eyes, right?
Exactly. These are the micro-expressions of canine panic.
And by giving them puzzles, those microexpressions went down.
Yes, significantly.
And their adoption rates skyrocketed as a result. Because people walking through the shelter saw dogs that were focused and relaxed instead of, bouncing off the chain link fencing.
Right, they look like completely different dogs.
So if a puzzle can penetrate the chaos of a municipal animal shelter, it completely invalidates the excuse that my house is too distracting for my dog to focus.
Absolutely. What's fascinating here is the specific biological trigger the researchers leaned into. There's a groundbreaking study on sniffing and stress that perfectly illustrates this.
Tell me about that one.
They set up a scent hunt for dogs. The researchers attached heart rate monitors to the dogs and simply asked them to find a hidden scent.
Just a basic game of hide and seek with smells.
Exactly. And almost immediately upon beginning the active sniffing process, the dog's heart rates plummeted.
Wait, immediately?
Yes. It wasn't a gradual calming down. It was a rapid physiological deceleration.
Why? I mean, I get that sniffing is distracting, but why does the heart rate literally drop like a stone?
Because of the parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay, remind us what that is.
Every mammal has an autonomic nervous system with two main branches. The sympathetic nervous system is your gas pedal. It drives the fight or flight response.
Right.
The parasympathetic nervous system is the brake pedal. It is the rest and digest biological switch.
So sniffing hits the brakes?
Yes. In dogs, the act of intense, focused sniffing physically stimulates the olfactory bulb, which has direct neural pathways to the areas of the brain that govern emotion.
Oh, wow.
Engaging the olfactory system automatically engages the parasympathetic brake pedal. It slows the heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and physically forces the body to calm down.
So the biological off switch for your dog's panic is literally attached to their face. It's their nose.
It is their nose.
The nose is the brake pedal. That completely changes how I view my dog stopping to smell a bush on a walk. I mean, I used to pull them away to keep the pace up, but they are literally self-medicating.
They're regulating their own nervous system.
That is wild. This also explains why short bursts of fun trump long training sessions. We've been taught that to fix a bad behavior, we need to drill obedience. Sit, stay, heel down, over and over for 40 minutes.
And drilling obedience commands on a highly anxious dog often backfires spectacularly.
Why is that?
If you are standing over a nervous dog demanding they hold a stay while their brain is screaming about a loud noise outside, you are just adding social pressure and conflict to their existing anxiety.
You are stepping on the gas pedal.
Exactly. The science shows that voluntary positive experiences build emotional resilience much faster.
The key word there is voluntary, right?
Mm.
When you offer a brain game, the dog chooses to engage. They are opting in.
Yes, there's no penalty for failing, no harsh correction if they walk away.
It's entirely choice-based fun. So if we want to hit that biological brake pedal, we have to look at the 5 brain games for anxious dogs that use their nose.
And there's some really great ones.
Yeah, though I have to point out, if you really dig into the mechanics of these games from the source, there are 3 that serve as the absolute foundation. If you master these 3, you are fundamentally changing your dog's daily life.
Because it is entirely about quality and intentionality over sheer quantity. You don't need a massive repertoire of games.
Right, you just need the good
You
ones.
need to understand how to leverage the ones that most effectively engage that olfactory bulb.
Okay, let's start with the holy grail. The magic of a simple snuffle mat.
Oh, I love snuffle mats.
They are amazing. For anyone who hasn't encountered one, imagine a small, shaggy rug made of densely packed strips of fleece. You take their regular kibble or some high-value smelly treats, and you bury them deep down in the fabric so the dog can't just see them.
You have to really work for it.
Exactly, they have to shove their snout into the fleece to find the food. Why is this specific action so potent?
Because it perfectly mimics foraging.
Like in the wild.
Yes. If you look at the evolutionary ancestors of our domestic dogs, wolves and wild canids spend a massive portion of their waking hours tracking, scavenging, and foraging for food. It is their primary occupation.
Right, they don't just get food handed to them.
Exactly. The modern domestic dog is essentially unemployed. We hand them their food in a metal bowl, and they inhale it in 30 seconds.
Which is pretty boring for them.
Very boring. The snuffle mat gives them their job back.
They are biologically hardwired to work for their meals.
Yes, and that work requires the complex nasal turbinates, which are the intricate bony structures inside their snout, to filter and process scents.
So it's a real physical workout for their mows.
When they are foraging in that mat, they're engaging deeply ingrained evolutionary behaviors. It slows down their eating, which prevents gastric distress. But primarily, it provides a steady, prolonged release of calming neurotransmitters.
It's like a drip feed of calm.
Exactly. You will frequently see a dog that was pacing frantically do a 10-minute snuffle mat session and immediately collapse into a deep, restorative sleep.
And the best part is, you don't even need to buy a $50 branded one. You can get a rubber sink mat with holes in it, cut up an old fleece blanket, and tie the strips through the holes. It is literally a zero-cost intervention.
DIY options are fantastic.
Okay, the second foundational game is Find the Treats, which are incredibly easy brain games for anxious dogs. You show the dog a treat, ask them to wait, and then you hide it, maybe behind a curtain, under a chair, or just around the corner. Then you give the release cue, find it.
This is a masterclass in sensory redirection.
Sensory redirection.
Yes. An anxious dog is almost always visually hypervigilant. They're staring at the doorways, staring at the window, their eyes darting around looking for the monster they think is coming.
Right, they are just waiting for the scary thing.
When you initiate Find the Treats, you are forcing them to switch sensory modalities. You're asking them to stop relying on their worried eyes and start relying on their powerful nose.
Oh, that makes so much sense. It's like a customized Easter egg hunt. When you watch a kid on an Easter egg hunt, they aren't worried about the weather or what's happening tomorrow. They are utterly consumed by the immediate environment, scanning for the prize.
Exactly.
You are taking a brain that is actively scanning the horizon for invisible threats and rewiring it to seek joy in the immediate vicinity.
And you are building incredible confidence in the process. Every time they find that hidden piece of kibble, they have successfully solved a problem in their
Just
environment.
feel like a winner.
They learn that their environment is a place of discovery, not a place of danger.
The third game takes that problem solving up a notch, right? The muffin tin puzzle. This is such a quick brain game for anxious dogs.
It's a classic.
So you take a standard metal muffin tin, drop treats into a few of the cups, and then cover every single cup with a tennis ball. The dog has to use their nose to figure out which cups have the food and then figure out how to manipulate the tennis ball to get it.
This introduces a tactile obstacle to the olfactory challenge.
Meaning they have to use their paws or their nose to move something.
Exactly. They have to use their nose to locate the scent, but then they have to physically displace the ball. It increases the cognitive load significantly.
I love watching dogs figure this out because their personalities really shine through. I mean, some dogs are incredibly surgical. They will delicately grip the fuzz of the tennis ball with their front incisors and lift it straight up like they are playing Operation.
And others take a very different approach.
Oh, yeah. Other dogs are absolute bulldozers. They just shove their snout in and send the tennis balls flying across the kitchen floor. But either way, the frantic, anxious edge completely melts away.
The method of extraction doesn't matter. Whether they are surgeons or bulldozers, the biological result is identical.
A ram gets used up.
Exactly. The cognitive load occupies the working memory, the olfactory bulb engages the parasympathetic nervous system, and the physical interaction provides an outlet for kinetic energy.
So we have the tools. We know how to engage the nose. But, you know, if I throw a snuffle mat down in the middle of a chaotic kitchen while the kids are screaming and the TV is blasting, it's not going to work, is it?
Probably not, no.
This brings us to how to set up a calm space with brain games for anxious dogs. The environment you play in dictates the success of the game.
Environment provides context. If the environment is chaotic, the dog's baseline arousal is already elevated.
So they are already starting from a place of stress.
Exactly. Choosing the right spot for Zen play is about creating a physical sanctuary that signals to the dog's brain that it is safe to completely drop its guard. You need a quiet corner, ideally away from heavy foot traffic, and crucially, away from doorways and windows.
Wait, why are doorways and windows such a problem? If my dog likes looking out the window, shouldn't I put the puzzle there?
Absolutely not. Windows and doorways are access points to the outside world.
Oh, right.
To an anxious dog, the outside world is where the unpredictable threats live. It's where the loud trucks are, where the strange dogs walk by, where the mail carrier approaches.
So it's a patrol zone.
Exactly. If you place a puzzle next to the front door, half of the dog's brain is working on the puzzle, but the other half is still actively listening for footsteps on the porch.
They can't fully commit to the game.
You are preventing them from fully immersing in the cognitive load. By moving them to an interior room, putting down a familiar blanket or mat, you are removing the environmental triggers.
You're creating a spatial boundary that says, we do not patrol for threats in this corner.
Precisely.
A dedicated Zen den. If you use the same corner, keep the lighting dim, maybe have a specific soft bed there, eventually just walking over to that corner becomes a cue, right? It's like how I feel when I walk into my bedroom at night. I see the pillows and my body physically exhales. The environment triggers the relaxation before I even lie down.
That is classical conditioning at its finest. You want the physical space to become synonymous with safety and dopamine.
And the best times to offer brain games for anxious dogs are just as important as the location, right? You can't just wait until the dog is already at a level 10 panic attack to throw a puzzle at them.
No, it's about proactive timing. Mornings are brilliant for burning off the overnight jitters. Midday puzzles break up the monotony.
And what about when we leave the house?
You must strategically deploy these games around predictable triggers. If your dog suffers from separation anxiety, your departure is the ultimate trigger.
So you give them the puzzle then?
If you offer a high-value complex puzzle right before you grab your keys, you are fundamentally altering the emotional tone of your exit. You are giving them a job to do that distracts from the emotional pain of the separation.
Which leads perfectly into pairing soothing sounds with enrichment toys. We know dogs have incredible hearing, and outdoor bangs like construction, fireworks, slamming car doors are massive triggers. You can mask those sounds with a white noise machine or slow classical music while they work on a puzzle. So if we play classical music during a fun puzzle, does the music itself eventually become a trigger for calm?
This raises an important question about the limits of sensory pairing. Yes, it does.
Oh, it really does.
What you are doing is deliberately engineering a Pavlovian response. Ivan Pavlov demonstrated that if you ring a bell before feeding a dog, the dog eventually salivates at the sound of the bell alone.
Right, the classic experiment.
By consistently pairing a specific classical music playlist with the massive dopamine hit of a food puzzle, you are physically wiring those two experiences together in the dog's brain.
So the music isn't just masking the scary sounds, it becomes a trigger for chemical relaxation.
Exactly. Over months of consistency, that sound profile acts as a multisensory anchor. If a sudden thunderstorm rolls in at midnight, you can turn on that specific classical playlist.
And their body just knows what to do.
The dog's nervous system will automatically begin to downregulate because it associates those specific frequencies and tempos with safety, focus, and reward.
It's a multisensory hug. I love that concept. And speaking of multisensory experiences, we have to talk about the textures involved in these games. Section 6 explores DIY lick mats and food puzzles that soothe. Because sniffing is great, but licking and chewing operate on a different, incredibly powerful biological level, don't they?
They absolutely do. The mechanics of licking are deeply rooted in canine evolutionary biology. From the moment a puppy is born, the mother relies on licking to clean them, stimulate their breathing, and comfort them.
So it's their first experience of feeling safe.
It is the very first tactile sensation of safety a dog experiences. As they grow, the repetitive motion of licking continues to act as a self-soothing mechanism. It literally floods the dog's brain with endorphins.
Endorphins being the body's natural painkillers and stress relievers.
Correct. When a dog is highly aroused or stressed, You will often see them obsessively licking their own paws or lips.
Oh yeah, my dog does that when guests come over.
They're trying to self-medicate.
Uh-huh.
By providing a lick mat, we're giving them an appropriate, highly effective avenue for that natural biological urge.
This explains why lick mats are the go-to brain games for anxious dogs. For anyone who hasn't seen one, you take a textured silicone mat. It usually has all these little grooves and nubs on it. You spread a thin layer of plain yogurt or mashed banana or wet dog food across it, and you freeze it.
And freezing it is the secret weapon,
Why is that?
because it extends the activity from 2 minutes to 20 minutes. The repetitive rhythmic motion over the cold surface literally cools their core temperature down, while the endorphins flood their brain.
Wow. So it's a physical cooling effect, too.
It is. It forces a steady, rhythmic breathing pattern as well. They cannot pant frantically while actively engaged in licking a frozen mat. It physically regulates their respiration.
So if the lick mat is the gentle yoga of brain games, the frozen Kong is the heavy weightlifting. The frozen Kong recipes that keep paws busy are legendary for a reason. You plug the small hole at the bottom with peanut butter, fill the inside with their kibble, maybe mix in some pumpkin puree or plain chicken broth, and freeze it solid like a brick.
A literal brick of food.
Yeah. Why is this so much more effective for sudden anxiety spikes than just handing them a standard bone from the pet store?
We return to the concept of cognitive load and frustration tolerance. Extracting frozen, tightly packed food from an irregular cavity requires intense, sustained concentration.
Right. It's not easy for them.
A bone is just chewing. It's passive destruction. A frozen Kong is a puzzle. The dog has to figure out the angles, they have to use their tongue, their teeth, their paws.
It's a full body workout.
The cool, hard work of thawing and extracting every single morsel consumes so much mental bandwidth that the amygdala is effectively starved of the energy it needs to sustain a panic attack.
Now, I have to push back on the final DIY puzzle, the toilet roll treat dispenser, which is touted as a zero-cost brain game for anxious dogs. You take an empty cardboard toilet paper tube, fold one end shut, drop some smelly treats inside, fold the other end shut, and give it to your dog to destroy.
Yes, it's a great game.
Wait a minute, aren't we basically encouraging our dogs to destroy things by giving them cardboard to shred? I mean, if I am trying to stop my dog from shredding my couch cushions, why on earth would I hand them a piece of cardboard and actively encourage them to rip it up? Aren't I just validating their destructive habits?
That is a very logical concern, but it fundamentally misunderstands how dogs categorize behavior and context.
Okay, correct me then.
There is a vast psychological chasm between illicit destruction born out of blind panic and supervised permissible destruction born out of curiosity.
So they feel different to the dog.
Completely different. When your dog shreds the couch because you left the house, that is a frantic, panic-driven displacement behavior. They are not enjoying it, they are drowning in adrenaline.
So what is happening when they shred the toilet paper roll?
You are offering a sanctioned, solvable puzzle that taps into their innate prey drive. Tearing into that cardboard mimics the natural, satisfying sequence of dissecting prey.
Ah.
It fulfills a deep biological urge to rip and tear, but in a completely safe, controlled, and heavily rewarded context. You are providing a massive, immediate tension release.
But do they actually know the difference? Will they think, oh, the toilet paper roll was fun, let me go try the drywall next?
Dogs are incredibly context-specific learners. They absolutely know the difference between an item you deliberately hand them, infused with the scent of high-value treats, and the inanimate leg of your dining room table.
So the permission makes it different.
By providing permissible outlets for destruction, you drastically reduce the likelihood of them seeking out illicit outlets when they are stressed. You can even escalate the challenge by taking 5 of these stuffed toilet paper rolls and hiding them inside a larger, taped-up Amazon box.
Oh, that sounds like a mess to clean up.
It is a mess. But watching a dog systematically dismantle a cardboard box to find hidden treasure is watching a dog completely purge their system of stress.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. We are channeling the destruction, not encouraging chaos. So we have all these incredible tools. We have the snuffle mats, the frozen Kongs, the sanctioned shredding boxes.
Lots of options in the toolkit.
But, you know, doing this once on a random Tuesday when a thunderstorm hits isn't going to fix a chronically anxious dog. To see real permanent behavioral change, we have to look at building a daily routine for a happier, braver pup.
Consistency is everything.
Right. So what does this all mean? We aren't just distracting them, we're architecting their entire day for emotional success.
Architecting their day is the exact right framework. A fearful mind is constantly worried about the unknown.
Always wondering what's next.
What is going to happen next?
Sure.
When is the scary noise coming? When are they leaving me? A gentle, utterly predictable daily rhythm rebuilds their trust in their environment.
Because they know the schedule.
It creates a scaffold of safety because they know exactly what good things are coming and exactly when they are coming.
Let's walk through this daily architecture. Let's start with quick morning brain games for anxious dogs to start the day right. A lot of people wake up, leash the dog, and immediately drag them out the front door for a bathroom walk.
Which is very common. But for a reactive or anxious dog, that transition from a quiet sleep straight into the chaotic outside world is jarring.
It's like jumping into freezing water.
It is incredibly overstimulating. If you swap that immediate rush out the door for a 5-minute scent search first, you change the entire trajectory of their day.
So what does that look like?
You can scatter their morning kibble across the backyard grass, or if you are in an apartment, hide it in the folds of a blanket on the floor.
Why do this before the walk?
Because you are purposefully draining a layer of cognitive energy before they ever encounter a trigger.
Oh, taking the edge off.
Exactly. If they step out the front door with a full tank of mental energy, every passing car, every squirrel, every neighbor is a potential threat that requires high alert processing.
And if they sniff first?
If they step out the door after 10 minutes of intense sniffing, their baseline arousal is significantly lower. The world is less overwhelming because their parasympathetic nervous system is already engaged.
It's like doing a 10-minute meditation before you read your morning emails. You are just better equipped to handle the stress.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
Then we move to midday calm down activities. The sun is high, maybe you are working from home, the house is dead quiet. This is when the restless pacing usually starts, right?
Yes. Dogs are crepuscular by nature, meaning their biological rhythms make them most active at dawn and dusk.
So midday is naturally weird for them.
The long midday stretch goes against their natural activity spikes, making it incredibly boring and lonely. A quick midday puzzle breaks up that monotony.
Like a twisted towel with treats rolled inside, or a puzzle ball they have to roll around to dispense kibble.
Exactly. It gives them a mission. They aren't just waiting for you to finish work. They are actively employed in extracting their lunch from a puzzle. You are replacing anxious waiting with active, rewarding engagement.
And finally, the evening wind-down puzzles for better sleep. The sun goes down, and a lot of anxious dogs get what we call the witching hour zoomies. They are frantic, pacing, whining.
It's a very real phenomenon.
Instead of trying to play tug of war to tire them out, which just spikes their adrenaline, you dim the lights, turn on that classical music, and pull out a frozen lick mat.
You are sending clear, unmistakable biological signals to the dog's nervous system that it is time to power down. The soft, repetitive licking drops the heart rate.
And brings that core temp down, like we talked about.
It cools the body. It primes the brain for deep REM sleep, which is when true neurological healing and memory consolidation occurs.
So they actually process the day's learning while they sleep.
This consistent rhythm, the morning mental burn, the midday mission, and the evening soothing ritual, is the architecture that ultimately cures the anxiety.
As we lay out this perfect architecture, I know listeners are mentally applying this to their own homes, and that naturally brings up friction points, because every dog's anxiety manifests differently.
Of course, every dog is unique.
So let's dive into the frequently asked questions, the nuances, and the edge cases. First up, what are the best brain games for a dog with severe anxiety? I'm talking about the dog who is so terrified they won't even look at food.
That is a tough situation. Severe anxiety completely suppresses the appetite. If a dog is in full fight or flight, the digestive system basically shuts down.
So how do you start?
For these dogs, you must avoid anything that requires complex problem solving or could cause frustration. Frustration will just stack on top of the anxiety. You start with the absolute lowest barrier to entry.
Like what?
A very easy snuffle mat, or a lick mat with ultra-high-value food like Braunschweiger or meat baby food, something they can't resist.
And crucially, you have to let them opt out. If you put the snuffle mat down and they take 2 sniffs and walk away to hide, let them go, right?
Yes. If you force them back to the mat, you are turning the game into a high-pressure obedience drill. The autonomy of choice is what eventually brings them out of their shell.
Okay, next scenario. How do mental stimulation games help dogs with separation anxiety? This is arguably the most common and devastating issue owners face.
We touched on this with the departure timing earlier, but it bears repeating. Separation anxiety is agonizing because the dog anticipates the panic long before you actually leave.
They watch you put on your shoes, they hear the jingle of the keys, and their cortisol spikes immediately.
By introducing a highly complex frozen puzzle, something that takes 20 minutes to solve, right as you begin those triggers, you are doing two things.
Okay, what's the first?
First, you are occupying their working memory so they cannot hyperfixate on your departure.
And second, you are reframing the departure itself.
Exactly. Over weeks of consistency, the terrifying ritual of you grabbing your keys transforms into a positive cue. The dog hears the keys, and their brain thinks, excellent, the magic peanut butter puzzle is about to appear.
You are classical conditioning them to look forward to your absence.
Yes.
What about outside the house? Can I use brain games for anxious dogs if my dog is reactive on walks? We just talked about the pre-walk scent hunt lowering the baseline, but what about during the walk itself?
Reactivity on a leash, lunging, barking at other dogs, is an outward explosion of internal hyperarousal. If you see a trigger coming from a block away, you can use a Find It game right there on the sidewalk.
Just throw food on the ground.
Yes. Toss a handful of high-value treats into the grass and give the Find It cue.
Yeah.
You are forcing the dog to drop their head, disengage visual contact with the trigger, and engage their olfactory system.
You are breaking the visual lock. I love the idea of using this for leash reactivity.
Yeah.
It's almost like giving them a mental warm-up to lower the stakes before they face the neighborhood dogs, right?
Exactly. You are physically forcing the parasympathetic brake pedal down while the trigger passes.
Next question. How long should a brain game session last for a nervous pup? If 10 minutes is good, is an hour better?
No, more is not better in this case. Cognitive fatigue is very real. For a highly nervous pup trying a game for the first time, 3 to 5 minutes is the absolute maximum.
Well, that's short.
You must watch their body language closely. Look for signs of mental exhaustion, like looking away from the puzzle, excessive yawning, or the most obvious one, a full-body wet dog shake, even when they are completely dry.
Wait, what does that full body shake mean?
That shake is a literal physiological attempt to shed muscular tension. It means their cognitive load has peaked. When you see that shake, the game is over.
So pick up the puzzle right then.
Pick it up. A single, successful 3-minute session builds massive confidence. Pushing them to 20 minutes leaves them frustrated and mentally depleted. Quality over quantity, always.
And what about the cost? Do I need expensive toys to start brain games for anxious dogs? Because, pet store shelves are filled with $50 plastic puzzles with sliders and hidden compartments.
The dog has zero concept of retail value. They do not care about the brand name.
They just want the treats.
The most effective games we've discussed, the towel roll, the toilet paper tube, the muffin tin, the DIY snuffle mat, utilize items you already have in your house. The value to the dog comes from the sensory experience and the challenge, not the plastic housing.
Your creativity is the actual enrichment.
Exactly.
Finally, what about our older companions? Can old dogs with anxiety benefit from these brain games? Sometimes we think, oh, they're 14, they just sleep all day, they don't need puzzles.
Senior dogs benefit immensely, perhaps even more than puppies. As the dog ages, their vision and hearing often degrade, which can cause massive spikes in anxiety because the world becomes unpredictable.
They can't see or hear what's coming.
Right. However, their sense of smell remains incredibly robust late into life. Scent-based games allow an arthritic deaf dog to still engage in deep, satisfying problem-solving without needing to run, jump, or strain their joints.
It keeps their cognitive pathways sharp.
It staves off canine cognitive dysfunction and maintains a high quality of life.
No matter the dog's age, the severity of their trauma, or the budget you are working with, the biological mechanisms are identical. The olfactory bulb, the cognitive load, the dopamine release, these are universal tools.
We work for every dog.
We've explored the neuroscience of the panic loop, the evolutionary history of the canine nose, the profound impact of structured environments, and the power of a daily rhythm. And it all leads back to that singular, beautiful image. Your dog, sprawled out on the floor, breathing slow, finally at peace.
It really is a beautiful thing. And when you look at the sheer, undeniable effectiveness of this biological approach, it leaves us with a rather profound reflection.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if just 5 to 10 minutes of intentional, focused, tactile problem solving can completely rewire a dog's nervous system, shifting them from a state of total blinding panic to profound peace.
Yeah.
What might small daily moments of offline, focused, tactile work do for our own human anxieties in an increasingly overstimulated, doom-scrolling world?
Oh, wow. We could probably all use a snuffle mat of our own, huh?
We really could.
Thank you for listening, dear Brigadiers. And if you have any questions, visit the source article on Doggozila Magazine at doggozilla.com. That was all for this episode, and until the next time, bye to all listeners of the Bark Brigade podcast.